this Lunch and Learn is all about the Shaping Family Wellbeing group. Please feel free to shout out with any questions as we go through the presentation, but there will be time at the end as well. So feel free to kind of put your hand up or type anything in the chat, and we can come to those questions as and when. So I think that's everything. So it's yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Kate and Katie for today's session. So over to you.
Thanks, Charlotte. Hi, everyone. So we're joining today from a family hub in Hull. My name's Kate, and I'm a researcher at the University of York in family wellbeing. And Katie, do you want to?
I'm Katie, and I've been working with Kate setting up the Shaping Family Wellbeing group in Hull.
So we've got some slides. I'll just see if this will work. Can you see those? That come through okay, brilliant. Okay, so yeah, we're really excited to be here today to talk about our Shaping Family Wellbeing group. And I guess we also want to mention, so Katie is a co-chair of the group, and then we also have another co-chair who couldn't be here today, Charlotte Tattersall. So everything that we're talking about in terms of the group, yeah, like Charlotte and Katie have we just worked together, the three of us, throughout in setting up and running the group so far.
We also have Harry with us, who's 2, and he's just running around playing. So if I disappear, that's why. He's currently eating his dinner next to us.
Well, it is a lunch and learn.
It is a lunch and learn, yes.
Right, so let's see if this will move along. Has that moved along for everybody? Brilliant. So yeah, we just wanted to kind of share with everybody about our experiences of setting up the group, what we've been doing so far, and then our plans for going forward in the future. So starting with the group setup. So we had some funding from the Yorkshire and Humber ARC to set up a community engagement group, and this was through the Best Start theme, which is led by Dr. Sarah Blower at the University of York, and that's all like a whole host of projects, all to do with promoting wellbeing for parents and infants in the first few years of life. And Hull was chosen as the base for this community engagement group, partly as it's an area of Yorkshire and Humber where a lot of new research collaborations have been taking off in the Best Start theme, particularly in connection with the Start for Life family hub. And also we didn't have any existing sort of parent carer community groups working with the Yorkshire Humber ARC in Hull. So we were really happy that we could hold this here. And the aims of the group, so there were 3 things really that we wanted to achieve. The first one, and most important, was about co-producing community-driven research projects. So we wanted to work with the group to identify what's important to parents looking after their young families, and come up with some ideas for research projects that really mattered to people. We also wanted to be able to discuss the existing projects and new ideas for projects coming up across the Best Start theme to make sure that they're accessible and relevant to parents and carers. And we also wanted to allow to facilitate this 2-way dialogue between parents and carers and then the local healthcare organisations to try and influence change as well. So yeah, a little bit about who is in the group. There are 23 people altogether, including Katie and Charlotte as the 2 co-chairs. And these are just all the different places that we sort of went to in order to invite people to the group, and then how many people we had joining from each one. So the largest number came from a partners and dads group at this family hub. Yeah. And so
so I met at a Tree Babies event at the, where are they?
Hull Museum.
Hull Museum. Yeah. So I met Kate there, and I was offered to be part of it to help us set it up. So I came with you here, didn't I, to the parents and dads group. And to be honest, I didn't think anybody would want to talk to us, did I? But actually loads of people did, so that was good. That was very positive.
It was really nice because yeah, you came along with Harry, and then the partners and dads who were there an existing group with their little ones. So it was just really nice and just had a chat with them. Yeah, it really was, and we got quite a lot of interest there. And then we specifically wanted to go to places where we could invite people whose voices aren't often heard in research. So we went along to a perinatal mental health support group as well, and just sort of put word of mouth out there, like through the people that were joining. Some people came along with existing with family members, so partners, parents as well, grandparents, yeah, which was really nice. And I guess just a couple of things that we learned along the way. One was that it seemed to work better when the group facilitator had like asked the parents and carers beforehand if it was okay for us to come along. I guess because then they were expecting us and they were ready to ask any questions they wanted to. And it just felt like a more equitable way of recruitment rather than us just turning up at a group without them expecting it, and visiting their space. Another thing we found worked well was like we started off just giving out flyers, and a lot of people would take a flyer, but then
it goes underneath the tram and then it's gone forever.
yeah, it's just like it's so busy. So and instead we started asking people if they were interested to leave either an email address or contact number so that we could like message them like a direct link to the sign up details, and we just found that worked better because I suppose it's a little bit more like personalized, and the first action was on us to follow up with them rather than the other way around. So yeah, that all helped along the way. Yeah,
we had our first meeting, didn't we, with me, yourself and Charlotte, to talk about what would be a good location to hold these meetings with the other parents. We talked at length actually, didn't we? I think we might have bombarded you a bit. You can have that, darling. We might have bombarded you a little bit with it. Needs to have baby changing facilities. It needs to have somewhere with parking or on a bus route. It needs to be child friendly so that if Harry, for example, drew on the wall, no one's going to get upset about it because we all know what children can be like. We found it quite hard, didn't we, at first, to find somewhere what could meet everything, and that's when, was it yourself who found this place?
I think it was when we came into the partners and dads group
Yeah.
here, and then they said if you want to hold it here as well, then you can do it. So that's a photo of the room where we meet, with all our snacks on the side.
We have a lot of snacks. Baby toddler friendly snacks. That was something else we discussed.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, definitely.
Even down to like putting up breaks.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Say to eat. Yeah, it was quite hard at first when it started somewhere, but now we absolutely love coming here.
Yeah,
We do like coming here.
it does seem to work really well. And the other benefit is we're looking to have some staff who work in the early help service at the Family Hub who come along to the sessions and help with childcare. So they've been really supportive. That's Calvin and Amy, and it's just made a massive difference because it just gives parents like a little bit more time to like join in the chats
play
and
with the
things.
kids.
Yeah, they play with them,
and it's nice for the other children to interact with each other.
Yeah,
as well, so they're not just sat at a table.
Yeah. So that's worked really well. So now moving on to what we've actually done so far. Yeah, this is just showing our kind of journey up to where we're at now. So yeah, did you want to talk about
yeah, so we've had, I'm actually counting these because I can't remember, 7 meetups so far. One of them was more of an easy meetup where we just had a picnic and a company came in with loads of nature, interactive things for us to do. So that was a good little way to get to know each other better. The first one was that we had the group set up, didn't we, of getting to know each other, how we'd work together, and then from there we've moved forward to actually planning the project, what we're going to work on. Thank you. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I think so it's sort of, we started off just having a really open chat about what it's like kind of looking after your young family in Hull, like what's gone well and what's been hard,
where we needed extra support possibly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not even just down to support. One of the discussions I had on the table was how did we get to the point of being pregnant, because there was like a same-sex couple who had IVF. So it was not just talk about what happened after having baby, it was what happened to get to that point of having a baby as well, which I thought was quite important.
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, so it was very open. It was just everything that's kind of mattered to people really. And then we had at our second meetup, we kind of had a voting session where we looked at, out of those priorities, like what are we going to take forward first as a kind of community driven project. And we also designed our logo at that session, which is what was shown on the screen at the start for the Shaping Family Wellbeing group. We chose a name for the group as well. And in the spring, we had a couple of meetups where we just talked about like kind of existing research projects. So kind of how to make the idea of being video recorded more acceptable and less horrible for people. And then also how to design research to make it really inclusive and who's going to be invited to take part, making it easier for families. And then in June, we had a meet up with a couple of local midwives, which was really nice.
Yeah, that was a good one, that. And I think you got to see their perspective as well, of because I'm sure we all know someone who's had a really bad story to talk about the midwives or the birth, or so it was quite nice to have that open dialogue with them and be honest and frank about things, but also to hear about the positive things they've brought in recently in Hull as well.
Yeah.
So that was quite a good one, actually.
So yeah, it's been quite a mix really so far. And then really nice to have a social in the summer where people just came along for a picnic and to kind of celebrate the group so far and have some cake.
Lots of cake.
So this is our kind of I guess ground rules or just ways of working together that the group came up with.
That was at the first session, wasn't it? So we had a big board, didn't we? And then the group on their individual tables would come up with what they wanted to be. So we had little post-it notes, and that's where this list has come from. So actually from the people there, rather than just coming from yourself or
Yeah. And we could kind of add to those as we went along. So the bottom two, I think, have been added since that first meetup. So every time we have a meetup, we kind of start with looking at these. Does anyone want to add anything? And like the bottom one's been added just because like a family was saying about how they want to make sure it's okay that when they need to go and kind of check their toddler's okay, or their toddler wants them to do something, then that's okay. So it was like, that's very much always been the ethos of the group, but we thought having that in writing would just make sure people felt really comfortable that obviously their little one would always come first and that they'll be jumping in and out of discussions as we go along.
It's nice as well that we don't have set tables, I guess you call it. So you saw the room at the beginning, we don't have set places. So when you come in, you can sit anywhere. Everyone's always sat with different people, which has helped the group because you get different opinions as well. So that's been quite a positive with us working together.
Yeah.
Quite casual and relaxed.
Yeah, and we always get slightly different people coming to each, because obviously not everyone can make every meetup. So people just come along when they can and kind of know that they're not like signing up to anything more than that, really.
So this was the design, and do you call it design?
Yeah.
Visual design of what we've spoken about in the first few sessions and what we would like to take forward. Sorry. It's okay. He's asking if I want pizza, guys. Does anybody want pizza? So yeah, this was the visual, which, to be honest, we was all quite emotional over, wasn't we, when it actually came back to us, because it really highlighted what we've all been talking about and how open we had been with each other and learning from each other. And really, it showed that our views had been captured in a really nice way and that we'd been understood.
We were really lucky to have like an artist who could create this for us after the session. Yeah, I think that just worked really well to kind of, and we come back to this as well to kind of look at how we're doing and things. And as you can see, there's a lot on here, and it was really hard to kind of think about like what we could take forwards from this. But we have got two projects that the group voted for as priorities to take forward. So one of them we've set up a separate small community engagement group of people with lived experience to look at a project capturing evidence about the impact of inequalities in funding for fertility treatment for same-sex couples, LGBTQ plus couples where neither partner produces sperm. So we're taking that forward. We're about to start doing some interviews, which is really exciting. And that very much came from this first meet-up. And you actually mentioned something that's raised on your table.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that we had some funding that we could actually take this forward and do something with this. And the other thing we're going to do, we've got a meet up in a couple of weeks where we're going to co-design a leaflet with the group, which is to try and help parents feel confident to take that first step to accessing support if they're struggling. And this was something that, again, it was raised at this first meetup, that there were quite a few barriers to kind of just getting in touch with somebody in the first place. So they felt that like a leaflet would be really, really nice, something to do together to try and overcome those barriers. So this is just very briefly sort of some of the insights that have come from speaking to this kind of really diverse and like we've had really rich conversations about research, and just things have come to light that have really changed how the sort of research is done. So the first one is about kind of offering, when it's sort of research with young families, like offering a real choice of how to take part. So whether people want to do an interview or a focus group, what they feel more comfortable with, whether they want to take part online or by phone or in person, and like trying to tie in like opportunities to take part in research with like existing commitments that young families might have, like drop-in weighing sessions or parent groups, just because young families are so busy. So just trying to make it as easy as possible, and also being really flexible around the timings.
We talked at length about silence of holding them, because obviously it was free down, so there was people coming with babies who still feed regular, and we all know what it's like if a toddler doesn't have their lunch. And it was really important to make sure that it was casual and that the times were right for everyone.
Yeah. And something else the group said is like, if you're invited to something by somebody you don't know, it can feel quite uncomfortable and you might wonder why you're being targeted. So just thinking about kind of who's inviting people to take part in opportunities, if that can be somebody that they already know and feel comfortable with. We talked about how to make it feel less intimidating if you're going to be video recorded. This was for like a specific research study where we were interested in video recording interactions with a healthcare professional. And some of the feedback was that like people wouldn't generally want that to happen in their own home, but would prefer it to happen in a clinic setting. So giving people that choice of where they would like that to take place. Again, sort of getting a chance to meet the person who's going to be doing the video recording beforehand, like, and ask any questions that they might have, understanding what the purpose of that is, who's going to see it, all these sorts of things are really important to people. So again, just designing that research to be as inclusive as possible. And another point to throw in here was about really thinking about supporting people who take part in research studies if they are struggling. So the kind of responsibility, like as a team.
Didn't we? So that we have a leaflet at each session with help available on it. Sorry. It's just there, isn't it? If they want, and you've also texted it out to people who are participating, and we add to it. So if something new comes up, then we add to it. That has like the local, I think local House of Light is on it, survey, support new parents with their children. That's on it, and just all little people like that who could support us if we're feeling.
Just feeling like it would be helpful, isn't it? And just kind of, I guess, acknowledging that like is completely normal, and that might be something people would find helpful, just to keep it.
Because I think when you go to, or when we think of these things, sometimes you can go away feeling a bit sad because you're talking about things what have happened to yourself, and you've also taken on the experiences of other people at the table, especially the first couple of sessions when we was all sharing stories. I think having that leaflet just gave you that reassurance that there is people there you can talk to if the sessions have affected you.
That definitely helped. And then these are just some things that came out from that chat we had with midwives a couple of months ago with the group. So these are some of the issues that people raised that had affected them. So some people had experienced like poor communication from maternity staff, not feeling listened to about when they had some concerns, not being given a choice about their care or having additional needs considered, and also just not having access to their own notes when they wanted it. And that was something that these midwives did actually arrange for these specific people when they raised it. But so some of the feedback we had about that session was just that it was quite nice to be able to raise those concerns in like a safe space rather than the awkwardness of raising that one-to-one. And the midwives were keen that they sort of could feed that back into the service to think about sort of needs for improvement. And then there was also like chance for the midwives to let parents and carers know about like changes in services or useful sort of add-ons that might be useful, like the Ask the Midwife service, where you can text if you have a question and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of reflect on like how massively helpful and important it's been to work with Katie and Charlotte throughout this. So these are like just some examples of like the kind of concrete things that have come out with working with them, but I really feel that without them the group wouldn't have worked as it has. So we have a WhatsApp call before every meetup to talk about what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about, and how to make it as enjoyable and like productive for people as possible. So some of the things that have happened as a result of that, so it's definitely helped to make the space more welcoming and relaxed. So like one example is like I remember the first meetup I kind of put together this like timetable of what we were going to do, and we meet at 10 o'clock, and like I had it that our first activity would start at 10 o'clock. So like after speaking to Katie and Charlotte, we updated that so that we'd have like, I think we have 10-15 minutes at the start every time.
To get in and to get the children settled as well.
Yeah, so just so that, because like, so when people are arriving, gives them a chance to like find a drink, find a snack, settle in, see where they're going to sit, and sort of help their little one find the toys. And so that's just been so important. And then also just gives a chance for people to have a chat with each other, because, you know, we have met like 6 or 7 times now, and people get to know each other, so it's really nice. People want to be able to have a chat, and so
become friends as well, aren't they?
yeah,
Which is quite nice.
yeah.
And I think some of us didn't have mum friends or parent friends before, which we now have, which has been, for me especially, has been really important.
No, yeah.
Hasn't it?
So I think, yeah, having that time, and then we also have a break halfway through again to just make sure it's not too, because we meet for an hour and a half, and that's quite a long time. So it's really important to have that like downtime as well to make it feel a bit more relaxed. So we also work together to think about what questions we're going to ask to generate the discussions, to try and make sure it's like really relevant and that it's going to be easy for people to jump into these conversations, like being very aware that, you know, people might need to be in and out a little bit. So we need to make it really easy for people to take part. Something else we've talked about is like how much info to send people ahead of the sessions to help them feel like ready. So having talked with Katie and Charlotte, like it made me realise we didn't want to be sending people like loads of stuff to do in advance, so that it would seem like homework, or that they
just a bit of information about what the session is going to be about, because then you can think a little bit about it before they get there.
Yeah, exactly. So they can come along with any ideas, but not feeling like if they haven't had a chance to look at that, then they're going to be uncomfortable to come along because everyone else is going to be really organised and prepared or anything. So we wanted people to just be able to turn up if they didn't have the time to have a look beforehand. Yeah, and also thinking how to do the voting activity. So I haven't done a voting activity before with a group, and so we talked through like how that would actually work, like what it would look like.
Yeah, like we put it up on the board, didn't we? So it was just easy for people to go and vote rather than having to like put hands up or vote there, and then they could vote in confidence or it really.
It was, yeah. And the kids like the coloured stickers as well.
Yeah, they did. I think I had more stickers on him than what was on the board, but you know.
And we also completely worked together to organise the social event that we had in the summer, which was really nice. So we give out feedback forms at the end of every session, and this is just like some of the feedback that we've had. So it was just really good to see that people felt their contribution had been listened to and mattered. So we had nearly strongly agrees for everybody at every meetup, and then a couple of people that agreed at the second and fourth meetup. So like that's really important. I think just giving people the chance to give anonymous feedback at the end of every session as well, to make sure that if there's anything else we need to be thinking about. So we have like open text feedback on there as well. So you can see here that people have said it was good to have their views heard. Oh, I'm really sorry. Have I just changed the screen? Okay, good. We've got a box over our slides so we can't see everything. So yeah, good to have your views heard and feeling relaxed, so we could just have a chat around the table about the questions without feeling pressured. So that's exactly the kind of for. And we also found that having the support and the toys for the children was really important, and the chance to kind of share their thoughts with ease, and be listened to and not feel judged. If you want to have anything else, like. So we just wanted to kind of share some thoughts on what's made it work well so far. So I think the fact that we did kind of, when we were inviting people, we really thought about like whose voices we needed to hear, and going out actively to those places to invite people was really important. As I've said, having Kate and Charlotte to work with as co-chairs has made a huge difference to the whole like feel of the group. And also in kind of the whole setup and, you know, where to hold it, like just everything. So having Amy and Calvin as like professional support to help look after the children. Yeah, like people have said, just that helps them to kind of have a chance to join the.
And I think having it in this setting has helped, because it's opened the doors for other things, as if it is a family hub. So there is support already available here, or I found out about other clubs, what were going on, what I could take Harry to from here. Where if you just have it in like a community hall or something, what isn't as child friendly, you wouldn't have that extra support or outcomes from it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Keeping the discussions really small was really important. So I think at the very first meetup, we had like 6 or 7 parents or carers around a table, and that was too many. So people couldn't always hear each other. And I don't think they got as much chance to contribute. So we've always made sure after that it's more like a maximum of 4 or 5 people around each table. And I think that's really helped with making sure people get the chance to share. And I also wanted to say the importance of ongoing funding. So, you know, we've been able to fund this community group to meet regularly over time and properly reimburse people for their time. We've also got the funding to take forward their ideas in these kind of co-produced research projects, which is amazing. So in this case, the funding's come from the ARC Healthy Families theme. And I think we really need more funding streams that help provide proper financial support for like ongoing community engagement, with the flexibility to take forward people's priorities and ideas. It really helps make sure that research projects are actually grounded in what matters to people. So that's made a huge difference as well. Add anything else?
I think so. Colin.
No, that's perfect. I think we're, so just to kind of wrap up, I guess we've got some thoughts on next steps. We've got funding for 6 more meetups, which is until early 2026. We really want to be able to continue beyond that. We're hopeful that we'll be able to. We're making our leaflet together that I mentioned. And yeah, we've got 2 projects underway with the group. And we're also like keen to hear about other projects that people might like to come along and talk about. So, you know, you can always get in touch with us if there's something else that you'd like to chat to the group about. And then this we just wanted to was our picnic that we had in the summer with the nature-based theme. So yeah, we just wanted to finish up with that. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very happy to answer any questions. Stop screen sharing now.
Thank you both. That was so interesting. We've got lots of exciting plans for the next couple of years. That was good, and I think really great learning as well, kind of just from like the practical aspects, which is so important around like the space and the flexibility and all those things that you really have to think through and consider. Yeah, has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask of Kate and Katie?
Oh, Harry could answer question.
I will.
Hi, Claire.
Hi, I really enjoyed that presentation, and it's really so interesting to hear what you're doing with families and how you're engaging families and getting their views, which is so important. I'm just wondering, did you find it difficult to get representation from all kind of groups of people, and you know, people in different circumstances?
I think the dad's group really helped. I think from the dad's group, we got quite a lot of diverse, didn't we? Families.
Yeah.
So I think without the dad's group, would you have struggled?
Yeah, I think it definitely, like setting up the group definitely needed more time than I'd thought. So we definitely like just kind of getting to know like groups in Hull. Like I contacted a lot more groups than I ended up going to as well. I like, yeah, definitely working with the Partners and Dads group made a massive difference. Because I think they already had a lot of like buy-in from partners and dads. So I think like that really made a difference.
So had like, there's a family who come who English isn't necessarily their first language. They were from the dad's group.
Yeah.
I think there's two families. I
yeah.
think there's two families. So I think when we first started talking about it, I was like, how are you going to get this range of people what you want? Because it is hard, isn't it? Like, so I think you did put the effort in to go out to the different community groups to find definitely. I don't know how we got the others.
I think going in person was massively important because I did contact some groups that were happy to share the flyer with their members. And that didn't really lead to like a lot of kind of interest, because I think it's like we've kind of heard from the group subsequently about like being invited to take part in research, and you know, just having somebody like there that you can ask questions of, and also just being approached by somebody that you've never met before. It, you know, it is a bit weird and kind of it's, yeah, so I suppose it's just trying to think how to do that in a way that kind of is as comfortable as possible for people.
We did have
Making
a
access.
gentleman come, didn't we? And then he did say at the end of it, it's not for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have had people say, no, look, it isn't for me. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
So we have had that on.
Yeah, because I think it's that thing of like
the unknown.
yeah, the unknown, and like think so. I think, you know, if you think it's going to be a chance for you to do activities with your little one, that's not what it is. Like, so it's sort of how it can clearly explain like what it's going to be about, people who maybe haven't been to something like that before. So yeah, I think that person was disappointed that they didn't get to spend time with their child, whereas that was kind of almost something completely different from a parent group where you'd be doing that.
Yeah. No, it's just brilliant. It's just really lovely to hear how successful it's been as well. And you know,
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I've got just a quick question, if that's all right. I was just curious, Katie, around kind of your decisions of why you decided to take on the co-chair role, and kind of just the whys and the what that means for you.
I work for the NHS, full disclosure. I have done for 20 years, and I have seen what is going right and wrong in that side of things. I did feel that this is somewhere where we could make a difference, but also from a personal point of view, Harry was a premature baby, and it was in the middle of COVID, and I had no one apart from my partner, really. And I think there was a lot of research what could have been done around that, and especially meeting the midwives. That's something what I'd asked for, because I didn't feel supported then, and I feel like this group can and is making a difference. And for me personally, I know that the June meetup, I didn't know if we'd make it to the group. Harry'd had a really bad night. It was a horrible morning, but as soon as I stepped into that group, it helped me personally, not just about the group. It was nice to see friendly faces there, to get out the house, especially with a screaming 2-year-old. So for me, it's personal reasons that it's helped me. It's helped me understand what I could have done better with Harry, but also what elsewhere could be doing better for people with premature babies. And especially because Harry came home with a tube. It was tube fed for a very long time. And I tried to attend a few groups in Hull and got told that we couldn't attend because of his feeding tube. It'd be a health risk. So I think for me it was personal, but also from an NHS working point aside, I think there's a lot we could do and are doing, especially the IVF side. So yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Thank
thanks
you.
for sharing that. It's really interesting. Thank you. Any other questions from anybody? Sarah?
Everybody, sorry, I was one of those midwives who went to that session, and it was really lovely to meet everybody, and to take that feedback back. I think my sort of thing is I would like to bring some senior managers back to hear that.
Yeah.
And I feel we did ask them to come with us, but they weren't interested. But we have had a big change around at the top, and I think that's something when our new head of midwifery is in person next month that I'd like to look at with you all, because I just think that'd be really good. But also with the baby project that I talked to you about, we're looking at
Yeah.
we're looking at prioritize. We've got a steering group and we're looking at prioritization. And I know Claire's in the group as well here, and I do think it'd be really good to work with you on looking at some questions of what we do with that data we're collecting. Because it's not just what we want as health professionals, it's got to be what's right for the families out there and the service users, and it's really important. So I was sat there listening to you thinking, right, I need to come back at some point once we get a bit further down the line, or have a meeting with you, pair of you, if that's okay.
That session and setup was so good, because I felt like I could be open and honest.
Brilliant.
About my experience. Where when you have your follow-up after hospital, you're in that one-to-one area and you don't feel like you're relaxed or, and it just felt very formal, whereas at the group, having that time with you was much, much better and very helpful for me. And I love the tech thing, the Facebook Messenger.
Oh, the Ask a Midwife, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's a great service. Yeah.
Especially during COVID, that was such help. It really was.
Yeah. And just saying about COVID, one of our mums from the hospital has written a book about having a baby in the pandemic. So whether that's worth, sort of sharing with people or even asking her to come in. But pregnant in it's
I think all of us in that room are pretty much, I call them COVID babies, but I think nearly all of us, weren't we?
Yeah, it's called Pregnant in the Pandemic, and she lives in Hull or East Yorkshire. I don't know where she lives, but she lives and received care in Hull.
Yeah.
But it's a really good read, and I think it might help other people who've been through the same, because it was very isolating.
With us, we were the back end, so we were like November 2021, so we were the back end of COVID, but we were still like, Nathan wasn't allowed, my partner, sorry, wasn't allowed in the hospital whilst we were potentially losing Harry, like he wasn't allowed in, and I think it does have an effect.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think you come into the group and us all openly talking has helped.
Brilliant.
Definitely. So thank you.
Oh no, thank you for the feedback. That's lovely. I'll get in touch once we're at a point to talk about prioritisation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you writing notes, Harry?
Preparing his feedback for the...
No, what's your feedback? You have to say anything? No, you don't. Okay.
So if you're happy after this session, we'll share the link with everybody so you can share it among your colleagues if anyone couldn't make it today. And if you're happy, Kate, we'll share the slides as well, if you don't mind sending them on, and we'll include those. That's got your email address on it as well, I think, hasn't it? So people can get in touch with any other questions. Has anybody got anything else? Any other questions? No. All right, well, thank you so much everyone for joining, and thanks again, Kate and Kate. It's really interesting talk.